Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of F1 Talk, and in this edition I would like to go through with you the 4-day pre-season test, the second test at Barcelona on the Catalunya circuit, and I'll go through the quickest times of the 4 days and who set them, my basic opinions of the test itself, the new Mercedes W03, and details of the next test, and of course the news from Caterham that Jarno Trulli's F1 career is more or less over, as he's been replaced at Caterham by Vitaly Petrov, and I'll go through that as well. So to kick it off, we go through the first day of pre-season testing, the second test at Catalunya in Spain, and the quickest time set by Red Bull's Sebastian Vettel. Now, when I initially saw this, I panicked somewhat because, you know, it's prelude to, you know, what could be another obvious and predictable season as far as who's going to win the championship. And, you know, it was probably him deciding that I'm going to do a fast run, I'm going to set a quick time lap, and let's just see if anyone else can beat it. No one else could beat it, but the McLarens were only about 3/10 away, and, you know, it's like I say, I don't know the ins and outs of Formula 1. I don't know how a camshaft works. I don't know how a car works. I know you put the key in the ignition, you press the foot pedal down. I'm a fan. I'm not exactly the most technically minded person. I'm recording this on a PS3, so my technology is about as limited as you can get. And I cannot even begin to understand the physics involved. I don't understand I know how wings and aerodynamics work and things like that. And if you hold that against me, then, you know, I'm fine with that. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, write it down in the comment box. If you don't agree with what I'm saying because you know more, fair enough. And that's a bit of a reply to a couple of comments I got from my last video as well. But it's entirely up to you what you want to write down in the comment box, if you want to write it down in the comment box. If you don't agree with what I'm saying in these videos, don't watch them. It's easy as that. Anyway, to get on with the video, sorry to go off on a limb there, but it's just how I feel about some of the comments I have been receiving in these videos. Yeah, I don't know everything, but like I say, on we go. Day 2, I think Red Bull were on a different run of practice laps. Several completed, obviously, and the quickest time of day 2 was set by Nico Hulkenberg in the Force India. Bit of a surprise, this one, as far as I'm concerned, but as it's been said in the press, and as I've said plenty of times in my previous video, you cannot draw any conclusions due to these tests. The best results and conclusions we will see will be in practice and qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix in mid-March. Day 3's top time was set by Pastor Maldonado in the Williams FW34. You know, it's quite, it basically slaps me in the face by setting this time. Vettel's time 1:23.265 on the first day. Hulkenberg's 1:22.608. Sorry for not giving you the times. Maldonado, day 3 quickest, 1:22.391. And as I say, it's a metaphorical slap in the face to me, because I actually think he's in the team basically because he's giving the team some moolah, some much needed funds. As apart from, I would say, McLaren, Ferrari and Red Bull, I think every team, you know, maybe Mercedes as well, but every team under that needs certain funds, and you know, it's a sad case because there are several drivers I think that deserve to be in the field this year and not because of money. And I'll talk more about it a little bit later on. You know, because I think Maldonado is one of these drivers that is in the sport because he's got a government backing him, basically. And that's just my opinion. If you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. And Kamui Kobayashi in the Sauber on day 4 set the quickest time, 1:22.312. No quick or no fastest times from Ferrari, Mercedes or McLaren. I've heard that McLaren are rather quick, and I've also heard and seen on the internet that, you know, they're not too far away from the Red Bulls, about a couple of tenths or whatever. And also, you know, I actually think that McLaren are concentrating on long runs and, you know, turning that way. The next test is again at Barcelona, test 3 out of 4 this season, and that's on the 1st to the 4th of March. So you'll be getting a video either 5th of March or, you know, very close to that date. I decided not to post 2 videos with this test, basically because, you know, I can give you all the data in the video description and, you know, everything that you want to know with regards to the testing times and things like that after the 4 days. There's not much point in making 2 different videos for that, I thought. Bit of news with regards to the Bahrain Grand Prix. Bernie Ecclestone is, I wouldn't say he's forsaking the safety of the drivers, but I can probably say with confidence that he's worried, I think, about losing the contract for the Bahrain Grand Prix if they don't host the race for another season. So I think he's actually pulling a few strings. He says it will go ahead. In my opinion, I mean, they should sort out the troubles in the country first. Also, in my opinion, I think they should not leave the decision down to Ecclestone. It's alright, he's in charge of Formula 1 commercial rights and holdings and things like that. I would have thought the decision would be made by the FIA or the World Motorsport Council. I would have thought it'd be up to them more than it would be up to Ecclestone. But, you know, he wants it to go ahead, that much is clear. He believes it will go ahead. I think the decision rests with Jean Todt as president of the FIA. He should liaise with his partners and things like that, and he should also just take into consideration the safety of the crowd, safety of the drivers, marshals, everyone, because I can see this Grand Prix being, you know, disrupted if it goes ahead. And the likelihood of it going ahead, if Bernie says so, it's going ahead. And that's, you know, that's not right in my own personal opinion. You know, F1 hangs on a balance of, you will do this because I say so. It's not right. Little bit of other news. Ecclestone commented in the media this week that this is likely to be Lewis Hamilton's final year at McLaren, especially if McLaren do not mount a serious title challenge this season. Lewis Hamilton won the championship 2008. And has sort of, I wouldn't say been bad since. I mean, the car let him down in 2009, 2010, you know, things started to go wrong for him. Last year for him, he by his own standards was a bit bad, but a lot of people, you know, believe he might be going to Red Bull, or, you know, it's, you've got to look at from Lewis's point of view. He's a man that needs to win the championship again for his own, I wouldn't say psyche, but he has to he has to win it again, so he's, you know, settled in his own career. I mean, he's been bred by McLaren, he's been moulded into this driver, and I think his emotions get the better of him myself. In contrast to his teammate Jenson Button, he's always, if the car is there and it is the best in the field, there is no one that can beat Jenson Button on his best day. Not even Schumacher in his glory days could probably beat Button if the car is hooked up right to Button's liking. I mean, that may be a bit of an understatement. Schumacher could probably do that. I remember one race, I think it was the French Grand Prix a few years back, where Schumacher was asked to go 4 stops and he still won the race. That's how hooked up Schumacher was in them days. And speaking of Schumacher, he and Nico Rosberg, along with Ross Brawn and Norbert Haug, released the Mercedes W03 third challenger from Mercedes into F1 since their return a couple of years back, and it began the first test. Began the first day of the second test. Not too bad. The Schumacher started with the installation runs, as you have to do, the shakedowns and everything like that, and the car looked pretty good. I've watched the videos of the testing. You know, it was all worked out, but they didn't set the quickest times. And you know, a lot of people, you know, analysts and things, people like that, have been saying, well, you know, testing's all about getting a race distance under your belt, working out all the you know, the little bitty tiny bits into the car, and then at qualifying practice for the races, then you do the quick times. But all in all, the Mercedes looks pretty similar to the other cars. There's the step down to the ugly duckling nose. I will be posting a link in the description, you know, show that you can click on to look at some pictures of the new car. I'm not going to post pictures of just one car in this video, so you can have a look at the link in the description if you haven't seen the Mercedes W03, and even if you have, it's F1. You're watching this if you're an F1 fan. So, and the final bit of news since the last video I posted is the, what I would call, demise of the career, the F1 career of Jarno Trulli, the Italian driver for Caterham. They've taken him out and they've brought in Vitaly Petrov, the Renault/Lotus refugee. My thoughts on this are, you know, I'm about 50-50 on the subject. It's disappointing to see Jarno go. He's been a good servant to F1, especially with the team's cap I'm wearing. You know, he was with Renault a couple of seasons. Started out with Minardi, but I'll go through his career in detail in the next video, because he was a fairly good driver, but like I say, more in the next edition. Petrov is in. I think he can improve, like Kovalainen has improved as a driver and as a sportsman, definitely. Petrov has certainly got the backing of some big Russian sponsors. There's likely to be a Russian Grand Prix in the next 2 years, 3 years, and Caterham will get the big sponsors noticed by having a Russian driver at the Russian Grand Prix, a little bit like Hispania did last year with Caterham at the Indian Grand Prix. But all in all, you know, truly, I think if you're going to pick a driver who's not one of the big players in F1, if so, like for a fancy league or whatever, if you could only pick one driver for qualifying before he left Toyota, and before Toyota left the sport, you would pick Trulli to get you the goods, to, you know, to get the positions. he scored a couple of poles and things like that, but in the race he tended to fall back. You know, his specialty was one lap qualifying. He was good at it. But in the race, as I say, he tended to just fall back, and he just wasn't as good in my opinion. He won one race at Monaco where a couple of the big players, you know, either crashed out or didn't finish due to technical problems or whatever. And he only just won that. He had a Jenson Button that year in 2004. So, am I sad that he's gone? Yes and no. It's time for, it is actually time, fresh blood to take the reins. We've seen it at Williams, where Senna's taken Barrichello's seat. We're now seeing it here at Caterham, and it's just a fact, you know. The era, or the era, depending where you come from, of drivers that are going to stay in F1 for years and years and years is over, more or less. The final couple of drivers I can see being of that breed of driver are Jenson Button and Fernando Alonso. You know, alright, Rosberg's getting on a bit now in terms of years in F1, but you got to think about these drivers now that are coming in because they've got huge pots of cash, you know. And, you know, to a degree, you can't run a team without money. I understand that, but you can't keep going, well, we'll choose you because you got money instead of you, who's a bloody good driver. But that's about it for this edition of F1 Talk. I'm sorry for the little barrage in the beginning to / middle of the video. As I say, I'm not the most technically sounded. My opinions, from what I've seen on the internet, I can't physically go and watch the testing. I can't physically go and look at the cars. I've never been to an F1 race. I don't think I ever will go to an F1 race. Money's tight at the moment, and that's why I'm recording this on a PS3 rather than a genuine camera or video camera. And, you know, I'm doing this because I want to do it, not because I have to do it. So, like I say, any comments or replies or suggestions in the comment box, and I'll see you next time with a career retrospective of Jarno Trulli.